Hello and welcome to Workers Comp Unwrapped, the podcast that simplifies workers' compensation for physicians. So let's get started. All right. Hello and welcome to Season 4, Episode 2 of Workers Comp Unwrapped. I'm Anik, and today we are looking at something that, well, it's causing a massive amount of confusion and, frankly, revenue loss for California providers. It's this weird situation where a provider performs a service, the law says they're owed a certain amount, but then the check that shows up is just lighter.
And the explanation they give is usually some kind of contract you've never seen for a network you never joined.
Exactly. It makes you question your own sanity. And to help us sort through this, I'm joined today by our expert who spent 15 years deep in the trenches of workers' comp. We're talking about non-MPN and out-of-network billing. Why is this specific issue such a headache right now?
It's a huge headache because the lines are being intentionally blurred. What we're seeing is payers taking the rules that apply inside their medical provider networks, their MPNs, and just applying them to claims that have absolutely nothing to do with the network.
So they're basically squeezing providers on the money.
It's a revenue squeeze, yeah. And the worst part is a lot of doctors are being underpaid and they don't even realize why.
Okay, so that's our mission for this deep dive.
Yeah.
Untangle that mess. We're going to define the battlefield MPN versus non-MPN, and then really get into the playbook on how you can fight back.
And this isn't about gaming the system. This is just about getting paid the correct legal rate for the work you do.
Absolutely. So let's start with the absolute basics. We hear this term all the time. MPN, Medical Provider Network. In simple terms, what is it?
It's basically a VIP club created by the insurance carrier.
Okay, a VIP club. I like that.
Yeah, think of it as a gated community. The carrier builds the walls.
Yeah.
And if you're a doctor inside those walls, you've signed a contract. You agreed to be there, probably in exchange for a higher volume of patients.
Right, so you take a bit of a haircut on the rate, but you get more business. Exactly. It's a trade-off. But all the friction we're talking about happens when you step outside that gate.
And that's where things get messy. That's where it all falls apart. Because if treatment happens outside the MPN, those club rules just don't apply. But the carriers, they act like they do.
They're trying to enforce club rules on people who aren't even members.
You got it. And that's where providers lose money.
So let's walk through what that actually looks like for, say, a biller at a medical office. They open the mail, they get an EOR, an explanation of review. What are they seeing?
They're seeing a bill reduction that just doesn't add up. Let's say you billed $100. The state fee schedule, the OMFS, says that service is worth $100, but the check is for $80.
And there's a little code at the bottom explaining why.
Right, and the code says something like network reduction or PPO discount applied.
Even though the provider knows for a fact they are not in that PPO.
Correct. And that's the tactic. The carriers are just banking on confusion. They know your staff is busy.
They're hoping you'll just say, it's only $20. I don't have time to fight this.
It's a volume game. They throw these discounts out there, and if only a fraction of providers fight back, they've saved a fortune.
It's a classic throw it against the wall and see what sticks strategy.
Precisely. But here's the most important thing for everyone listening to understand. If you are truly a non-MPN provider, you are entitled to the OMFS.
The official medical fee schedule.
Yes, and that isn't a suggestion. It's the law. It's the state-mandated rate. No contract means OMFS rates, period.
Okay, so we've established the core problem. The carrier is paying club rates to non-members. But our research turned up 5 specific scenarios where a provider is legitimately, legally out of network.
These are what I call the 5 shields. If you fall into any one of these, the carrier cannot force MPN pricing on you.
Let's break them down. Shield number 1 is failure to implement. Sounds very bureaucratic.
It is, but it's so important. Just because a carrier has an MPN on file with the state doesn't mean it's actually active for a specific employer.
So the employer has to, turn it on.
They have to do the admin work, yes. They have to provide the right ID numbers, confirm the location is covered, if they didn't do the setup.
Then the NPN doesn't exist for those workers.
Exactly. You can't get the benefits of a system you never actually implemented.
Got it. Okay, that leads right into the second shield, which our sources say is maybe the most common one. Bad notice.
This is the big one. An injured worker has rights. You can't force them into a network if you never properly told them the network exists.
And telling them is more than just a casual conversation.
Oh, absolutely. It has to be a valid written notice. California law is very specific about this. We see cases all the time where the notice was sent to the wrong address.
Or what about language barriers?
That's a huge one. If the worker's primary language is Spanish, but the notice was only sent in English, That's bad notice.
So the notice is invalid.
Completely invalid, which means the MPN restrictions are gone for that claim. The worker can go out of network, and that provider gets full OMFS rates.
It really puts the burden of proof back on the carrier. They have to prove they did their job right.
And very often they can't.
Okay, shield number 3 is about being proactive. Pre-designation.
This is the golden ticket for a patient. If you, the worker, give your employer a written notice before an injury happens that says, I want my personal doctor, Dr. Smith, to treat me.
Then Dr. Smith gets to be your doctor no matter what.
That pre-designation trumps the network. Even if Dr. Smith isn't in their MPN, the carrier has to authorize and pay for that care.
I can just imagine carriers are really good at losing those forms.
They try. They'll claim it wasn't filed right or they never got it. But if the patient or the provider has a dated copy, that argument falls apart.
All right, number 4 is less about paperwork and more about, well, emergencies.
Right. Emergency care. This should be common sense.
You'd think.
If a worker has a serious injury, you go to the closest ER. You don't stop to check an online provider directory. Emergency care is, by definition, exempt from MPN rules.
But I'm guessing carriers still try to apply network discounts to ER bills.
All the time. Their computer systems are automated. The algorithm just sees out-of-network provider and slaps on a discount code.
It doesn't know the context.
It has no idea. It takes a human to look at it and override the system, and that only happens if you fight it.
And that brings us to the 5th and final shield, a kind of catch-all, non-compliance.
It is a catch-all. An MPN is a privilege, not a right. To keep that privilege, the network has to be functional. They need enough doctors, enough specialists in a given area. If half the doctors on their list have retired or moved,
It becomes a ghost network.
exactly. And a non-compliant, invalid MPN has no authority to tell a patient where to go. They forfeit that right.
So we have the 5 shields: failure to implement, bad notice, pre-designation, emergency, and non-compliance. If any of these apply, the provider should get paid the full rate. But the check still comes in light.
Because the carrier is betting you won't fight back?
So let's talk about that fight. What's the playbook? I'm a provider. I know I'm in the right. What's step 1?
Step 1 is not a phone call. I can't stress that enough.
No calling customer service.
It's a waste of time. You need a paper trail. The first formal step is filing a request for second review. It's often called an SBR.
So this is a formal written objection.
It's a formal legal request, and you have a strict deadline, 90 days from the date of that EOR. In that request, you have to be explicit. You say, I object to this network reduction. I am not a contracted provider.
And you have to include proof.
Documentation is everything. If you're claiming bad notice, get a statement from the patient. If it's pre-designation, attach the form. And this is key. You have to show them the math, recalculate the bill based on the OMFS, and say, the law says you owe me this amount. You paid this, you owe me the difference.
You're speaking their language. But, okay, what happens when they just deny the second review?
Right.
When they just say, nope, we're sticking with our discount.
Then you escalate. That's when you move to the lien phase. You file a formal lien against that specific claim.
The word lien can be intimidating for a medical office. It sounds complicated and expensive.
It can be, and there are filing fees involved. But it's also the only tool that gives you real leverage. When you file a lien, you become a formal creditor. It clouds the entire claim. They can't settle the case with the injured worker until your debt is resolved.
So it forces them to deal with you because you're in the way of them closing the file.
Exactly. All of a sudden, paying you the $200 they owe you is way cheaper and easier than litigating that lien.
I can hear a practice manager listening right now thinking, is all that work really worth it for $40 on an office visit? Maybe I should just write it off.
And that thinking is what I call the cost of complacency. It's a trap. Because it's not just $40 once. It's $40 on every single bill for every patient forever. It's death by 1,000 cuts.
It's a chronic leak in your revenue.
It is. And you're also training the carrier on how to treat you.
What do you mean by that?
Carrier billing systems are run by algorithms. If the algorithm learns that your practice never pushes back on a certain discount
You
code,
just got to keep applying it.
it will keep applying it because you've taught it that you're an easy target.
So by fighting back, even on the small amounts, you're building a reputation.
You're signaling that you know the rules and you won't be pushed around. After a while, they often just stop trying it with you. It becomes too much hassle for them to underpay you.
So the path of most resistance now leads to the path of least resistance down the road. That's a powerful idea.
It's the only way to operate in this system.
This has been incredibly helpful. If you could give one piece of advice to a provider who's just buried in EORs right now, what's the one thing they should do tomorrow?
Start auditing your reason codes. Stop just looking at the total payment. Look at why you were underpaid. If you see network discount and you know you don't have a contract, that's your call to action. That is your money, and the law gives you a way to get it back.
It really seems like knowing exactly where MPN authority begins and ends is the key to the whole thing.
It's the most powerful tool a provider has. The borders are real. Don't let them move the fences onto your property just because they sent you a letter saying they did.
Wow. It makes you think about where this is all going, with AI and automated billing getting more and more advanced.
It's an administrative arms race, and the providers who don't have a strategy are going to be at a serious disadvantage.
Well, that is definitely a thought to end on. Thank you so much for breaking all this down for us. It's so clear that knowing the rules is just as critical as the medicine itself.
My pleasure. Providers work way too hard to leave that kind of money on the table.
And to all of you listening, thank you for joining us for this deep dive on Workers' Comp Unwrapped. We hope you're leaving with a bit more clarity and maybe a little more fire in your belly. Keep checking those EORs, and we will see you next time. Thanks for listening to Workers' Comp Unwrapped. If you found value in today's episode, subscribe and share with fellow doctors. Stay informed and keep making a difference in your patient's care.